Yeah. So you have a little bit of license to turn down deals, turn down offers that come in. I mean, because if it's not a good deal for you in general, of
You
course,
got to
but
learn how.
yeah. What are some, I'm going to say automatic yeses and automatic nos that play a factor in decision making for bands finding a good promoter and getting that promoter to work with them?
It's a slippery slope. There's really not a lot of automatics. Most groups that I'm pitched, I always automatically want to work with them because if I don't put on shows, I don't get paid.
Yeah.
However, you have to go by what did they do the last time in the market? Did you do them the last time? If you did them the last time, you got all the data right there.
Yeah.
And not before I even have to look at that, which is more rare than it is normal. Because I remember, I mean, I know if a group did well or not. You have to judge those factors of how they've done in the past and try to ascertain where are they at currently in the mind's eye of the public. And it's not easy, but that's what makes it possible for you to do this for decades is by being right a lot more than you're wrong. It isn't rocket science, but it is paying attention. You got to have your numbers together. You got to have a good memory, and you have to remember which shows performed and which didn't. Most of the time, and more often than not, you try to remind somebody the next time you didn't do so well with them last time, and there's some other goof who doesn't know all that, but they do know that they want that show because it sounds right and sexy and they ought to have it, and they'll overpay them just to get the show. And I used to get very, very upset about that, and sometimes I still do. There should be some loyalty. I've had the cases where I've lost a bunch of money on somebody, and I look forward to the next time because I like the group. It doesn't mean I don't want to work with them anymore.
Yeah.
But I do want them to be reasonable the next time around.
Yeah.
And many times I've had people outbid me from the last time for the next time.
Yeah.
Because they don't know any better. They don't research or do any background information. And I've lost a lot of shows that way. For a while here, I had a really nice, I was cruising along very nicely with the shows because not a lot of people, especially the younger buyers that are around today, they don't know a lot of the stuff that I know. I'm not saying I'm smarter than them. Sure I am. But only because I've been around longer.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of good buyers out there. But the fact is they know what they know. I know what I know. And when anybody sees anybody being successful with any kind of music, they catch on sooner or later and go, why don't we get what he got? Because there's only so much content out there. There's only so many good bands that actually draw out there. And especially in my field, which are groups that were from the 70s, 80s, 90s, mostly, the sad part of all that is it takes years. It's a career. It's not a week. It's not a year. It's decades. And sadly, what's happening now is so many of our groups from the 70s and 80s are either passing or retiring, or they have to quit because they can't play anymore. Physical things happen, just like in the real world.
Yeah.
And
well, we're seeing a lot of that now. I mean, I've enjoyed the wave of artists that have come through in the past couple of years. And I always joked, which I think it's quite true though. It's because Gen X was the kind of the fan base for that era, and we finally have money now, and so we could go to the shows and spend the big bucks, and so you start seeing them all come back now.
I say it all the time. I mean, you spend your whole life doing something, whether it's raising kids or working, whatever job you do, but you get successful at it and you're making some dough, and all of a sudden you're old and you can't
Yeah.
enjoy it,
Yeah.
or you're going to run out of time if you don't, do something about it pretty quick. And
Yep. Yep.
so I'm doing my best to squeeze every last ounce out.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been fun. And it's been like this year has been a tough year too, losing a lot of artists and
Oh,
it's just a sign
and
of the times, if you will. Like it's
it's
just exactly what you said.
it's every year. It's a real it's a real shame, but I mean it's one of those inevitable things, just like groups breaking up,
Yeah.
and some of the group stays around, some of the group retires, but then some of that group, now you got one or two members from the original group, and for some reason they're charging double than what the original group charged.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then people go, why aren't people coming to our shows? You're charging too much.
Mhm.
I mean, people have a finite amount of money to spend on entertainment. I mean, unless it's one of those gotta see shows,
Yeah.
put it this way, there's more normal, regular, everyday kind of shows than there are those exceptional ones,
Right.
that come out. There's so many different examples of that, of groups retiring and not retiring.
Mhm.
I mean, so people don't buy that a lot anymore,
Right.
with good reason, because most part groups never really retire.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, I only know of a few people that actually meant it when they said we quit. Uh,
Yes.
Seeger's one of them. The Seeger was my first arena show that I bought on my own. I worked on many before that, but that was the first one I legitimately bought on my own in 1980. The day of the show, he cancels the show on me
My goodness.
because he lost his voice from
Ooh.
staying up for a few days, it was so dry in Arizona. You can't smoke and stay up
Uh-huh.
and expect to keep your voice. A lot of people over the years have complained about the dryness of Arizona, and he made him up, and he took care of everything. He was a genius, and a great guy to do what he did. He wrote a check that night for all the expenses,
Mhm.
and rolled it into two shows a couple months later. By the way, that went from April to June.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're like, oh.
and well, but see, he transcends that. He was
Yeah.
uh
Yeah.
he was working on an album called Night Moves then, and
Mhm.
and I mean, you know, when I look back and at something like that, where you're in the midst of, you don't know it at the time, but you're in the midst of their biggest record, or the one that changed everything for them.
Mhm.
Those are the coolest tours to be with.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's what you're doing it for. Or the first Nirvana tour, when they came out with what was it, Nevermind, $750 for Nirvana,
Yeah.
and $5 ticket. They they really believed in starting things off gently and making sure people came out to see them, and get to see them at that great time in their career. And
Yeah.
and Don Mueller was their agent. He did an amazing job with them, and Pearl Jam, and so many other Stone
Mm.
Temple, really really meaningful bands in the 90s.
Yeah.
Uh, those were the three of the biggest ones that came out then, but they did it all that formula, which made so much sense. Like groups,
Mhm.
groups don't get it sometimes, and they go straight for the jugular with the ticket prices and
Yeah.
bigger places. But if you want to stick around, I mean, there's plenty of time for it when you're in your early 20s or late teens or whatever. When you're starting out, there's plenty of time for it. You got to build that foundation first, and the money comes. You do the right moves, the money comes later.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what do you think is a good? I know it's a wide scope, but what do you think is a good? I don't know what you would say. A simple, fair club deal you wish more artists offered as they approach you for the for the fans, but also that's fair for the artist too, because the artist needs to make money. They need to make a living, and that's why we do shows like
It
this.
all it all boils down to what the market will bear.
Hmm.
You've got to know your audience. How many people are going to come?
Hmm.
Whether it's $10 or $20, whether it's $20 or $50. How many people do you want to show up? And everybody would say, well, we want as many as possible. The more you charge when you're new, the less people are going to come.
Sure.
So many groups ignore the fact, that never really get out there how important it is to develop a local following. I mean, that's the way most groups have become popular and or successful, is by building an audience where they live and playing there as much as they can and get as much experience on stage as they can, but not to the point where people are sick of you and don't
Yeah.
want to come and see you anymore because you're playing
Oh,
somewhere every
those
week.
guys again.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it just
Again.
turns into a ho hum. Um, so a lot of groups just don't play it right. They don't go out and play 4 hours a night other people's music and cover songs, but things are different nowadays. There's not as many bars as there used to be. There used to be a lot of live music rooms everywhere. Now there's a few by comparison in each city that you might want to go to. Um, and also, sociologically, things are much different when it comes to how many people come out because of drinking and driving, which
Sure.
is always on people's
Sure.
minds in the news. People don't get high the way that they used to. I mean, not on the stuff anyway that used to propel people into going to
Yeah.
shows. I know there's still a big audience out there for, shall we say, enhancement, but it's not like it used to be, and especially among the over 50 set. Everybody's been there, done that.
Hmm.
So you've got to be even that much stronger or that much more desirable as somebody to spend an evening out with than ever before, because people have just calmed down a lot
Yep.
than from where they were in the 70s or 80s. They're
Yeah.
old. It happens. But that doesn't mean they won't go out, because you're not going to go out and get an 8 ball and look for, scantily clad men and women. But that used to be one of the driving factors of why
Sure.
people went to shows.
Yeah. But what's a typical deal, or what would you recommend for artists coming into this? Like, do you do other, is it mostly flat rate for the artist? Do you do, you know, some split at the end?
A lot, in club world, and you're a new band, and you're just getting out. For the most part, I know a lot of club guys are able to do percentage of the door deals, or they give them so much per ticket, or they just buy them flat. I mean, it really depends on how many people know you. There's a barometer out there that you have to set, and the only way to find out is by putting it on sale and charging the tickets or announcing it. Um, it's much different now than it used to be when it comes to that. But it's really having a sense of what you're worth, and the promoter knowing what you're worth, and you agreeing on it at the same time. In order to, you got to back into your ticket price. I mean, that's something that a lot of people don't do when they're trying to set the price for a group. An agent, for example, the groups want to get out and make as much as they can as fast as they can. I don't blame them. I mean, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. It could be 5 or 10 years. Somebody's playing their instrument 15 years before they get to the point where they're good enough to get in front of people. Now you've got to have material that people want to hear live.
Mm-hmm.
So to try to figure out what the best deal is, or the way to do it, is you have to figure out how to measure up against groups that are already out there where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Where does your favorite group play locally, whether it's a national group or not? And how much do they charge? Can you charge that much? The answer is usually no.
Mm-hmm.
So, my advice is to get in front of as many people as you can and be great on stage so people want to come back and see you. Opening shows is also a very important thing. For instance, I got Blue Oyster Cult this weekend in Cleveland and in Detroit, and I went out looking for who is a band that goes with these guys, um, and that would like to open for them. I
Mhm.
don't have a big budget. I only had $500, and we came up with a couple of groups, and I'm looking forward to meeting both of them and seeing, why did somebody recommend me to, you to me? Um, but those opening slots don't pay a lot unless you could say to me, "Hey, we just did 1,000 people at $10 on our own
Yeah.
a month ago. Okay, then how about I give you 100 tickets and you go sell
Hmm.
them for
Yeah.
whatever you want."
Yeah.
You know, most groups don't want to do that. I mean, that's one of my favorite lines back to an agent when he says, "I want so much for somebody," and I'll go, "Why don't you? I tell you what, I'll make a deal with the hall. I'll give you the whole gross after it breaks even." Nobody takes that deal.
Yeah.
Nobody counts on the fact that they're going to draw. They want to know what they're going to make. And the bottom line is, I mean, in this last year, for every number of reasons, ticket sales fell off. And a lot of it has to do with the amount of live shows out there versus how much each of them cost. And most everything with the name, I mean, you're looking at 50 to $100 no matter what.
Easy. Yep.
And it's like if you're looking to get people to come out more than once a week or once a month
Hmm.
or once every 6 months, you got to watch yourself because you're competing for that same dollar that somebody else is charging, and they might be a bigger, more desirable, act
Right.
to go see.
Right.
And and you don't want to say that to any group. Their feelings are very, very sensitive. You don't want to tell them you're not worth that because they'll
Yeah.
get mad at you and they'll say, "Well, we'll find somebody that does." And they'll go
Hmm.
out and make a mistake by getting somebody else who doesn't know them as well as you do.
Hmm.
And they'll lead you down the road until you get to the hall. You're going to make this money, but you're going to look like shit because nobody's there. And
Okay.
it happens.
What's a common value add you see artists doing that work to kind of boost revenue a little bit per show or per tour, things like that? Is it the VIP thing? Is it merch? Is it,
Well,
you know,
to me, I'm not a fan of all that. Charging people to meet you, I think, sucks. Um, we used to do that as part of promotions with shows, where as a really special thing, um, you and your friend can get a meet and greet with so and free tickets to the show, great seats, dinner before the show. I mean, I love doing dinner and a show type
mhm,
promotions. Um, but they typically don't include meet and greets. People, because of the obvious thing with just meeting all kinds of people with potential germs, you're on the road. You got to watch yourself. You don't go out and if you're really careful, you don't go out and hang out all night and mess around with your fans and strangers and all that because
yeah,
you're likely to possibly pick something up. But nowadays, I mean, with these packages, they'll charge you $200, $300, $500 to meet somebody. That helps the band out, but they don't want to share it with us.
mhm,
And I hate that for the simple reason that I'm the one that's the bankroll to make that show happen that makes it possible for them to come to Phoenix, for example.
yep,
So you come to Phoenix, regardless of how the show's doing, you're going to make X amount of dollars that I don't share in, but I'm the guy that staked you to come. How did
mhm,
I get cut out of that?
mhm,
Well, you're not the one doing the meet and greet. Yeah, but I'm the one that's facilitating it for you. It's
mhm,
the hall that I rented, and so on and so forth. It's like we should be in this together. They wouldn't like it if I took tickets off the system and went and sold them for more money and didn't share with them.
sure,
So, but that aside, that's one way that people um, enhance the concert experience. But to me, it's a money grab. And I don't
mhm,
care who hears that because it is. I mean, charging your fans to get a picture taken with you. I mean, I know it's the norm, but it's bullshit.
yeah. Yeah, we've had a lot of discussion around that side as well, and there's a lot of bands we've talked to that will hang out after the show, right? They hang out after the show, they wander around, chit chat with the fans who will hang out, and that's great. And I've talked to many an artist that way,
Yeah,
lingering after the show and chit chatting, and I love it and I appreciate that. Uh, and there's some that I'm like, I'll pay the money to meet them, because I get it. If they stuck around, they would just get mobbed. Okay,
I
I
get
get
it.
it.
And I get all that too. I'm just saying
Yeah,
that so many groups lead with that. I mean, after I put an offer in for somebody, they go, all right, we're going to go on sale now. All right. We're going to go on sale now. Oh, by the way, we're going to do 100 meet and greets and we're going to charge $350 each. And they want you to do everything, hold
facility.
tickets, what I hate doing is holding tickets back. And they're going to use those tickets as part of their package. And then they sit on them until they all sell. And half the time they don't sell. And you got to go back and ask them, I want to release these tickets. The idea of being down close, you want that to be for normal fans at the normal ticket price. That's what I want to do.
Yeah,
I don't want somebody to have to pay $500 just because their favorite group has a package going on.
yeah,
It's just not right. But
yeah,
it adds to killing of the golden goose of concerts, because for so many years everything has risen up. It's $40 for a t-shirt. You got to pay for parking. The drinks are expensive at places. Everything adds up where you've got to be well off to go to a show.
yeah. It's
And
getting that way for sure.
and it look, it's better to have than have not, by all means, in any
Mhm,
walk of life. But we're talking about concerts, and you know, let's put it this way: I'm not bitching about it. I'm just talking about it
mhm,
because the cat's well out of the bag, the horse is out of the barn. It just is what it is, and that's the way it is. We deal with it, and you move forward. But
mhm.
it makes me as a buyer that much more careful about how much somebody's going to charge. So just like when a group says to me, I want X amount of dollars and I think it should be less, when you add it all up and you look at it before you put that offer in, you got to say to yourself, do I really think I'm going to draw this many tickets at this average ticket price or with this ticket scaling? And if the answer is yes, go ahead and book the show. Um, but I found most of this year, not every show, but a lot of the shows, there's legitimate groups that can charge and get what they're asking, which means they're really worth it.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of other groups that you had to charge more for tickets in order to meet the demands financially of what the show costs.
yeah,
And then when you're falling short, you can stand on the train tracks and let the train come and roll over you, or you can adjust the ticket prices later and
hmm,
hope people will come back and look at it again.
hmm, hmm.
It's a touch and go thing.
What's some good things for artists to keep an eye out for or ask about when they're booking a promoter? How do they know they're getting a good promoter? Or what are some uh, tip tip offs for, oh, this is probably going to be a
You
bad
know,
situation?
I think, and for many years, there's people in every market that most of the main booking agents know. So they're not going to sell shows to people who are going to cheat the fans and take their money and run away with it.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, it's like anything else. These days, it's so easy to shop online and find out stuff about people. If you want to be sure of what you're doing, Google them, Chat GPT them,
Do the
look into
research.
their do a background check on whoever it is you're going to work with, and make sure there's not the equivalent of Yelp saying this guy's a jerk off. Don't work with them.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, like we said earlier, there's booking agents, and that's their job, is to vet those people out so that the group. I mean, the group isn't calling a promoter unless they're a new group. and they just don't have representation. In that case, you're rolling the dice every time you call somebody. It's hard. There's a lot of shysters out there on the smaller level
Mm-hmm.
who don't treat groups really good. And to me, it's not always a bad thing, because it's a good thing for an act to learn the lessons of what to avoid, or who to avoid, or the type of people to avoid. But when you're a new act, you're lucky to get booked anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
So
hard.
on those lessons, what's one or two things that they can not learn the hard way?
Well, I mean, there's simple things. Agree, just like a real recording act. You can look right online and get examples of deal sheets.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have to be for that room, but say you're going into a room that holds 200 people, and the guy wants to make a deal with you based on how many people you draw. You've got to know, what do they typically draw for groups like you, and as you get a little bit bigger, like, well, you're charging $10, you're only paying me 100. If I sell 200 tickets, don't I get to make more money?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to work through all that. I mean, there's no real secrets about it. The only way you find out is by doing it and going through it. But once you get established and you're playing like bigger clubs or nicer performing arts centers, small theaters, it's important to know how much it costs to put on your show. And typically when I make an offer for somebody in a 500 seater, I'll write down a menu of how much I'm going to spend for advertising and band catering, and how much is the hall going to cost, and security. You've got to add all that stuff up to find out how much it costs to put on a show, so as the actor, the manager, or the agent, why the guy is charging what he's charging. Once you've achieved that break even number with the group's fee in there, how much is left over that maybe you guys can share if it gets to a certain part? It really depends on the group.
Mm-hmm.
It always
Mm-hmm.
depends on the group.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Well, so as we start landing this plane, tell me what you've got going on. What kind of stuff Danny Zelisko Presents has going on? You also have I believe, some a high school project.
Well,
As well.
the high school project is really interesting. I'm very excited about it. It's called the Hilltop Auditorium, and it's at the Agua Fria School District in Phoenix, Litchfield Park. They raised a bunch of money, and they're going to build a high school that is going to feature entertainment as far as the curriculum. So there'll be music lessons, there'll be dance, art, as well as the typical subjects that you'd have. But in building this school, you have to audition to get in the school. You have to have some. You don't even have to be a great talent or anything like that, but you got to show that you're into it. So you got to audition.
Yeah.
You got to send in a tape and say, I want to go there for singing, or I want to go there because I'm a guitar player, or I'm a dancer. They're building a 700-seat auditorium for the kids to play in, as well as to use for national or worldwide acts to come and play in. And it comes right across the backstage area, across the breezeway. There is a recording studio and a video studio.
Wow.
So you could come into this place, and I see it as a perfect opportunity for groups to come in and warm up for a tour. And they have this beautiful surroundings, and they have the ability to watch themselves on tape, and work things out. You can get students in there to work on the shows and be helpers and learn something about putting on events. And you could stream your show to the world. You got a brand. Here, we want to give you a song, and you turn on Facebook Live or turn on our YouTube channel or whatever. And there's a lot of opportunities. I mean, there's many, many, many more. You can record an album there. And in the meantime, kids can use this place, or local bands will be able to play there and play in a really nice venue, and see how it all works, and instead of playing some grungy little club, which are necessary. I love grungy little clubs, nothing against them, but you want to step up to the next level and the next level. And this is a way for people to do that. So they're supposed to open at the August of next year, and shows will happen later in the fall as soon as the auditorium is complete. They're going to finish building the high school first. So that's a big thing for me. And other than that, um, booking shows in the celebrity and over at Talking Stick, where I'm working on a few different tours of doing multiple dates with people. I like doing that and getting around and seeing other parts of the country, and it's fun to do that. And I've developed relationships in places like Royal Oak, Michigan, and Cleveland and Chicago, where I'm from. We're doing shows in Denver. We come up to do shows at the Paramount, and there's places in California and Las Vegas and Arizona and New Mexico. So there's probably somewhere around 15, 20 places that I like to visit when I can get dates with people. I don't like to go out and sponge off of other people's success when they've had success with concerts with various acts that I work with, but oftentimes they haven't played certain markets, and I don't feel bad about asking for them, or they might have had a problem in a previous show. So I don't mind going in and taking over for that, as people have done with me over the years. So, it's a different world, and it's a different business for me anymore, because I used to be that go-to guy that got all the arena shows in my part of the country, Vegas and Phoenix, Tucson, Albuquerque. But amphitheaters have been built by private enterprise, and it's no secret, when something gets popular, big money moves in, and they get involved with it. It's just the way it is.
Well, so as we wrap up, what is just one piece of financial advice you would give artists, whether they're up and coming, new, or whether they've been at it a little bit?
I would say the one thing that I've seen over the years that a lot of new bands suffer from when they're fending for themselves is they get so excited about booking a show that they don't go over terms carefully with whoever's going to pay them. There's been I've been a part or have seen so many misunderstandings where people haven't committed things to writing so that you can pull it out and say, hey, we agreed on this. This is what we talked about. I wrote it down. You signed it. A contract. A lot of people don't want to be pushy about that. There's a lot of theater or club people, not real super legitimate ones, but ones that are at that level, that don't want to sign anything, or they don't want to put anything in writing. As badly as you need to play live, if somebody doesn't want to memorialize something with you, don't play. Because chances are it's going to be an ugly experience if they won't do the simplest and most rational, reasonable thing, which is to agree. There's so many moving parts around this anymore with
Get it on paper.
with computers and so on and so forth. There's no reason. You don't need a lawyer, but write down, you're going to play on such and such a date at such and such a time. So and so is going to play before you or after you. They're going to charge $5 or $10, whatever they're charging to get in. How long are you going to play? Do you get guests? Will they give you a sound check? All that stuff that makes your day or breaks your day. Make that agreement in writing. When you talk to somebody on the phone, or you talk to them in person and you book something, take notes, write it down, and send it to them. And say, do you agree with this? Whether they sign it or not. If they won't answer you, don't play. just get an understanding. Um, there's no point in doing things unless your understanding is clear.
Sure. Sure.
Unless you know the person really well and you've done it before, that's
Right.
different.
Right.
But
Right.
when you're somebody new and you don't have a lot of experience, you can appear to be more experienced than the next guy
Hmm.
by just taking care of business. That's what that
Hmm.
is.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's so many opportunities for misunderstanding out there, and
Oh,
and
we,
and if you don't
we
have it dialed
it
in,
you you know you want to find that happy medium. I tend to overstate things sometimes as a result of that happening to me over the years. And if somebody doesn't, the other one is if somebody doesn't get what I'm trying to get across, I'll keep talking until I get it across.
yeah,
Because when somebody doesn't get it and they think they're getting it and I don't, I can't let them walk away
yeah,
misunderstanding what I'm trying to get across.
yeah.
And that happens a lot in regular life anyway,
Hmm.
much less this business.
Yeah. All right. Every show we wrap with what we call final riffs, short questions, rapid fire answers. We're gonna jump to it. You ready?
Go on.
All right. Who was your biggest musical influence growing up?
Beatles.
All right. What band or artist will you never get tired of listening to?
Beatles.
Beatles,
I love King Crimson.
King Crimson. Yeah. Yeah.
I love John Prine.
Hmm.
I have a lot of favorites. I love Bonnie. I love Jackson. I love Chicago. I love Danny Seraphine. I love groups who have Alice Cooper, who we just established these great relationships with years and years ago, and we're still friends, or we're still even working together in some
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like, I mean, that's one of the reasons I stay in this business as long, because if I don't, I'll never see these people again because they keep working.
Yeah.
They won't stop and sit down
Yeah.
from it. So if they're going to work, I can work.
That's right. That's right. All right. What was the first album you ever bought?
It was the Four Seasons, and then I found out that they would replace records if you broke them, and my record broke, and I traded it for Meet the Beatles. Uh, I told Frankie Valli that, and he almost slugged me. But I mean, I got all the enjoyment I could out of that record, and it was crushed already anyway. Then I broke it, and I couldn't believe they exchanged it for me. But that was the first album, and then I told you that Puff Magic Dragon was my first single. Not sure why that. I mean, I love the song, I still do, and I got to work with them quite a bit over the decades there in '80s and '90s, and they were great. They were just so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. If you weren't doing music, what would you be doing?
Well, I would have been a baseball player, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm really sure of that. Um, I don't know. My dad was an electrician. He wanted me to do that, and I wasn't interested in it. But other than that, I'm not sure. I could. I'm definitely a good writer. I wrote a book, and I think it came out really nice. But I don't know that I could ever do that for a living.
Yeah.
That would be really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, Danny, that was terrific. Thank you for being on. I appreciate all of the insight. I think it's neat to hear so many sides of the industry, and yours is a pivotal piece of the industry that everybody needs this piece of it to
Yeah,
to view the live music side.
it it's a fascinating thing when you think about it. That I mean, this is where local promoters are the ones who, it's kind of like a puzzle of the country. You can't be on the ground in every city, especially for a new group when they're first coming out. But when you're that guy that's there that receives them when the groups are getting their first rise in their career,
Hmm.
and you're a pivotal part of making that experience good for them. And by the end of the tour, they compare who they did the best with as far as attendance, who treated them the best, who they want to come back to. And the amazing thing is when I look back, and I've got stacks of papers with shows
Mm-hmm.
that list all the different shows that I did. And I look back to the 80s and the 90s when I was doing a ton of club shows, how many groups there were that came out one time, and I booked them because it was from that agency who I booked bigger shows with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole idea behind the promoter game and the agent game, is that smart agents are not only resting on their laurels with their superstars that they help create, but they're signing new bands. And then they have a network of promoters to send them through across the country or around the world. And that system will, I believe, will always be in place. The record company system changed just like Uber changed taxi cabs.
Yeah.
But there's always got to be somebody to be in that town to promote you. And it's your job as that person who's risking any money and spending the time that you could be doing something else. You should be involved with their career pretty much forever. And if there's any, not regret, but lament, I guess, about what I'm doing, is that money meets music and changes everything. Um, I mean, it's like I can't compete with somebody that can throw in an offer for 30 or 40 shows, but they're riding on my back and my history and my hard work. And they don't want to include you in there anymore. In fact, they'd rather you weren't in the business. It's
Mm-hmm.
because you're an obstruction. And I'm not talking about anyone in particular, but there's obviously a few big
Sure.
companies out there that are guilty of that. And in some cases they're very kind and they listen when you make your pitch and say, I belong in that date. Sometimes you get in, sometimes you don't. But
Mm-hmm.
for what I'm doing, and it's a weird little nuance of the business. I like my old guys. I like doing shows with the people who I've known for 30, 40, even
Right.
50 years. They still got to make a living, and there's nothing like, it's like old home week when we get together. So from that aspect, I really enjoy it. And I mean, they play for other people, they play for new people around the country all the time, but I particularly enjoy being a guy who doesn't walk away from people because they got older and they're not number one anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You can still have fun, you can still make money, and you can still entertain your audiences, because there's people out there that never forget. And remember, when we were in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, we didn't have these cell phones. We didn't
Yeah.
have the distractions that everybody else had. So, you know, we focused on listening to music and exchanging music with our friends, going to shows and all that. And now you can, find out so many different things just with the press of a button.
Yes.
Uh, it's a different world for sure, but
Yes.
music will always be important, and so life
Yes.
concerts.
And live music at that, I think.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
nothing like it. There's nothing like going to a show and seeing, especially seeing somebody that you really like,
Yeah.
or the music, the performers themselves. It's a great experience, and I'll be doing that forever.
Yeah. And I think that's great for the musician to remember, is that get out in front of people, meet your fans, be good to your fans. And I think you'll succeed if your fans are your driving factor, right? I mean,
Absolutely. Without them, none of us are anything.
yeah, that's right. Well, Danny, thanks again for being on the show. And for everyone listening, if you want a steady way to fund your music, head on over to my website at 1024wealth.com/music and grab a free ebook called A Musician's Guide to Infinite Banking. Shows you how to keep your money accessible, keep growing, compounding, smooth out the feast or famine times, and self-fund releases over time, tours, gear, and just help you succeed throughout life financially on your own timeline. If you're ready to talk, book a call with me and we will talk through it. Meanwhile, subscribe on your favorite podcast app, share this with one musician who needs to hear it, and we will see you next time. Danny, thanks again.
You
Until
got it.
then, keep your money working and your music